welcome to Sestra-Tainment. I'm Lenora.
And I'm Dee.
And we're coming to you today in regards to
Everything
Entertainment. Yes. So today you are up first, sis. What do you have?
So what I want to talk about is a movie that I watched last night that is not the best.
Okay.
And it is called Novocain. I don't know if anybody has heard of it. I like to call it the movie with the sons.
The movie with the sons.
Yes, okay. And this is the reason why I call it the movie with the sons. The cast is Jay Nicholson, who plays Simon.
Oh, son. Got it.
Yeah. And Jack Quaid, who plays Nate.
Okay.
Dennis Quaid's son.
Oh, son.
So, you know, the Sons.
The
Sons movie. You also have Amber Mithunder as Sherry. You have Jacob Battalion as Roscoe. Betty Gabriel is Mincy.
Okay.
Matt Walsh is Coltrane. They're police officers, so that's why they only have one name. Okay. And a couple of other people that you really need to know. They're just kind of like thugs or whatever that are part of the movie of the whole thing. So yeah, the movie with the sons. One, I have no idea what year it is.
Okay.
This is the reason why. There is a police scene where the police truck that pulls up is like a 2005 Chevy, like, Suburban. Mm-hmm. And then immediately behind that pulls up another cop car.
Okay.
Which is a 1996 Ford.
Oh.
What was the car that Aunt Josephine had all the time? Was it the
I don't remember.
Was it a Taurus or a Tempo? One of those two.
Yeah,
I think a Taurus.
I think a Taurus. Yeah, Taurus.
Yeah. So it's like, what year is this? Mm-hmm. And I thought that cops only use one brand of vehicle. So yeah, so it's
Impalas.
Like yeah. But it's like, but so there is no, like, I have no idea. So the movie base, the idea, it's a good, kind of cool idea.
Okay.
But the things that happen on the background and sometimes in scenes, it's like, well, that's not good production quality. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like, so as I said, the storyline, I like it. And what it is about, Nate, who is Jack Quaid. It is about Nate, and he has this disease called CIPS, CIPS.
Okay.
Apparently what it is that he can't feel any pain.
Oh, wow.
But also, he has a hard time feeling anything. So like he has to set a timer on his Casio watch that goes off to say, hey, go to the bathroom.
Oh, got it. Because otherwise
his bladder will explode.
It needs to go.
He only eats smoothies.
Okay.
Because he's afraid he's going to bite his tongue off. So he tells the story. He has this one love interest in the movie. Her name is Sherry. He is the assistant manager of a bank. She is one of the tellers that works there. Okay. He has a crush on her. She comes and like comes up behind him while he's making coffee. Mm-hmm. So he has the hot coffee pot. He has his cup, but he has his cups full of ice. So he's pouring the coffee over the ice while holding the mug. The girl comes and when she goes and taps his shoulder, he spills coffee all over his hand. And she's like, oh my God, I am so sorry. And she's like freaking out. He's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And then she goes to like pull up his shirt and she sees he has a tattoo and he pulls it down. He's like, yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And he walks away. He goes into his office.
Of tattoos. He doesn't feel anything.
Yeah. So he goes into his office. So once he's in his office, he's putting some burn cream on. What's it called? Back tracing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's putting burn cream on. She comes in. She's like, hey, I feel really bad about that. Let me buy you another shirt because I ruined your shirt. He's like, nah, I'm not worried about this shirt. This old thing, I have 1,000 of these. Yeah. She's like, okay, well, at least let me take you to lunch. And he's like, I bought my lunch. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, okay.
You're clueless.
Yeah. She's like, okay, well, I'll take you up on that offer. So then things go on, time goes by. They have a night where it's a night to remember.
Okay.
So with this happening, she has got him to eat cherry pie. And she's like, if you bite your tongue off, I'm here with you. I can help you. Yeah. So he's like, okay. And he also tells her the story of how when he was younger and he would get hurt, his parents would be like, why aren't you crying? What's going on with you? He took him to the hospital, found out what's going on. He said, and they locked him away. So he had a very secluded life because they were like, we have to baby-proof everything.
At all costs,
And his apartment's baby-proof.
Oh, wow.
Every corner has a tennis ball on the end of it.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because you won't know that you're
if you bump it,
bruising yourself
exactly.
and causing a pulmonary embolism.
Exactly. So now what happens? Fast forward to the following day, he's like ready to go into her and be like, hey, you know, I had a great night. Last night was, you know, he's trying to think of the words to say. And right when he's he's looking at her, they make eye contact. Three Santa Clauses. They walk in, they're like, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Now, the manager, because he's the assistant manager, the manager comes, he's like, hey, fellas, what can I do for you? And they were like, we're making a withdrawal. And they shoot in the air. So now automatically, they're robbing the bank. So now the bank is being robbed, and Jack Nicholson's son, Ray, is the one who is the main robber. And while this is all happening, they take the girl, and now Nate, being so infatuated with this girl, because I don't know if he's ever really had a girlfriend or whatever, him being so infatuated with, he's like, I have to save Sherry.
Yeah, save her life.
So he's like, I gotta go save Bubba. It's like, I gotta go save Sherry. So now he is chasing these people who have robbed the bank and taken her as hostage.
Yeah, of all people.
Yeah, and as all of this is happening, the police officer, he actually is like fighting with one of the guys, because he follows one of the guys in a police car, the 1996 Ford Taurus. Follows them. They're in an alleyway, and it's all blocked off. They get out to go ahead and move the thing. He gets into it with one of the guys. They start fighting. He's like, bro, just don't. And he's getting punched in the face. He was like, I can't feel it. He's just hitting him and hitting him. He's like, okay. So then it was like the comedy part of it. Okay, just go ahead and beat me, but I can't feel this. So you're not getting any pleasure out of my pain because I don't have any. So now they have a big fighting scene in the kitchen, and then the police come afterwards while he's already left the scene. Police come afterwards and was like, man, what kind of maniac did this? And they was like, oh yeah, they said it was the assistant manager of the bank. And they were like, what? Yeah. And they were like, clean record, no parking tickets, no tickets, no traffic tickets.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Great all-around citizen. Yeah. And then the lady who is Mincy, she's like, I don't think that he did all this. And the other guy's like, well, you're seeing it right now. Mm-hmm. So they're like, well, how do we get in touch with him? Like, what can we do for him? And like to get him, and she was like, he said, oh, I have his phone number. She said, well, let's just call him. He was like, well, if a guy who just had all of this happen, he's not going to answer his phone. What happens? Hello. Yeah, exactly. He answered the phone because he's thinking, "Hey, I'm in a cop car. I understand I broke the law being in this cop car, but I am chasing them to let you know where I'm going to find out. You know." And they're just like, "No, don't do that. You can't. You are not able to just do that." And then she's like, she's telling him that she says, turn around, just stop, don't do anything. And he says, "Hey, do you have any kids?" And she's like, yeah, I have a daughter. He said, now what would you do if your daughter was taken? Yeah. And then she gets silent, and then she said, okay, have it your way. And then she hangs up the phone, but she's like, but you see it on her face, she's like, yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah, exactly. So now it's them trying to get all up into what's happening there. The action in the movie is all right. It's cool. Everything is cool. It's everything that you think is going to happen in the movie happens in the movie. But for the most part, I thought it was a cute movie. Besides anything in the background is not adequate. Like, there's old cars, but then every car in the parking lot is new. So it's like they didn't have the budget, and they were just like, yeah, we just get, my aunt has this,
But do you think that that's part of the movie aesthetic? Is like, you just don't know, like, that's a weird warped thing of the movie. Maybe you should Google what's going on with the cars in this movie. You know what I mean?
Well, it was just the cop cars. I mean, like, it was just like all the cars that they show close up are older. But they, like you said, everything else in the background, assuming that you're not even going to pay attention. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But when I saw that Ford Taurus pull up, I said, "Hold on, what year is that's like a 96, 98, maybe at the most." Like, wait, what year is this movie supposed to be at? And then when they pan over and you see like the truck, and I'm like, wait, that's a Chevy and that's a Ford. Like, hold on, wait, that's not, doesn't make sense. Apart. And that one's like a 2005, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense at all. I don't understand what's happening. Yeah. But, I mean, I actually did not finish the movie. I fell asleep on it. Okay. But
so you don't know how it ends.
I don't know how it ends, but they're pretty sure
exactly.
I know how it ends.
Okay.
But I don't know how it ends. I don't know because I didn't watch it, but I'm pretty sure I know how it ends. Okay. And but yeah, I mean, it's all right. You can watch it. I mean, it would be something to watch. Just keep it in the background. You can look at it. Like, let's say that you're doing something on the computer. Yeah, you're cooking dinner. Or you just have it on. You're on the computer. Just something.
You don't have to watch every moment.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, you don't have to watch every moment because then you'll find little things that you can pick out.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's it. It's called Novocain, and I forgot to say what it was on. Novocain is on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you have next, sis?
So I'm writing down Novocain. I have Holland, which is on Prime.
Holland.
And it came up, I would say maybe March or so of this year it came out, which I hadn't heard anything about. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and check this out because the trailer was a little, peculiar, right? So, because it's showing Nicole Kidman, who's in this movie, and I'll talk about the cast in a moment. But what stood out with the trailer was like, when you think of people in Holland, they wear the little white hats that the little brims look like they go up, almost like a gnome.
Like the, the Rico La commercial.
Ricola.
Yeah, like the clogs and then the hat that looks like the clog, the tip of the clogs. Yeah.
And it's like very flying nun kind of, hats, right? And so it's showing her and she's like posed in this weird way, like she's like bending forward and her face looks like she's like smiling really weird. And I was like, what is this about? Like she was posing like a statue or a figurine or something.
That's a Vogue photo shoot because Vogue has the weirdest poses of people in a photo shoot.
Yeah, and so looking at that, I was like, all right, let me go ahead and check this out because I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. So anyway, let me go through the cast. So the cast includes, as I mentioned, Nicole Kidman. She is Nancy Vandergroot. Okay. She has a husband. Matthew McFadden is playing her husband, Fred, and he's Fred Vandergroot. They have a son named Harry Vandergroot. And he is played by Jude Hill. And then you have, I would say the only other person you really need to care about is Gail Garcia Bernal, who plays David Delgado. Okay. Right? So those are kind of the four main characters of this particular show. Or movie, I guess I should say. It's on Prime. And so for the most part, what happens is that it starts off with just Nicole Kidman, Nancy's character, just being like, hey, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. Well, not a stay-at-home mom. I am the housekeeper of everything, right? Mm-hmm. So she goes to work. She's a school teacher. When she comes home, she takes care of her husband, Fred. She's going to cook him dinner. She's going to make sure that he has everything he needs. He's an optometrist. Okay. So he is at work doing everything that he does. And then he comes home and, it's a very nuclear family in that regard. The son and the father are very close. Okay. The father has this little town in his garage that him and the son take little figurines and make little stories and we go this.
It's like
Beetlejuice. Right, exactly. And so exactly like that. And you can like go underneath the table and come up and you're in between all of this stuff and everything. So they're in there, they're playing around, they're having a good time. So that's Daddy's son. 9, 10, somewhere around there.
Kid. Yeah, I didn't know if it was like a teenager and that was like their hobby or something.
And so the two of them, that's their father-son time where she's like still cooking dinner or doing whatever. And the son gets a little frustrated with his mom because she just... for example, the whole thing starts off with her being very upset at the nanny or, babysitter because she's accusing the babysitter of stealing her earrings or one earring out of like a pearl earring out of this thing. And the babysitter is sitting there. She doesn't even accuse. The thing about Nicole Kidman's character in here is she assumes everything.
Okay. No facts.
Everything.
All in her brain.
All in her brain. And so she sees one earring is missing. She jumps to the conclusion that it's the babysitter, right? So therefore she goes and approaches her and says, hey, do you have something you need to tell me? Mm-hmm. And the girl is like, what are you talking about? And she's like, look, I know what you did. I just need you to come forward and share information about what you did because I know what you did.
And she's like,
and the girl's sitting there like, I don't know what you did. And then finally she's like, okay, all right, I get it. yes, I'm so sorry that I did that. I know I shouldn't have done it. It was supposed to be bacon for Fred, but I ended up eating the bacon. Okay. So it's me. I did it. I ate the bacon. And she's like, this isn't about the bacon. This is about the other thing that you did. And the girl is like, I didn't do anything else. Yeah. So she was like, well, you think about it. And when you're ready to admit what you did, then you come back. And the girl's like, okay, I'll think about it. And she just walks out. And she's like,
I think I'm going to leave.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to work for you anymore. But yeah, so the girl seriously has no clue what she's talking about. So then when her husband comes home and she's telling her husband about it, he's just like, but did you check everywhere? Like, could it have fallen out of the box? Could it have this happened, that happened? And she's just like, no, I know. Like, I've checked I know. Like, in her mind, it's like blinders. I know what's happened, right? Now, when her son finds out that she got rid of the babysitter, I don't know if he had a crush on her or whatever, but he went off. He started cussing her out. And he was like, I can't believe that. And she was like, whoa, we don't use that kind of language around here. Go to your room. I'm taking this away from you. All of that. So he calls his dad, who's, at work, and like, why is she doing this? And she's so mean and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, look, when we get home, we'll go work with the trains and we'll talk about it, because you have to work with women in a certain way, because it's like that kind of thing. Yeah. So anyway, him and the son out there doing their thing. What I found peculiar is that when he and the son are out there doing their thing, and this is where I was like, this is where the movie, to me, starts to hint towards some things aren't quite right here, right? Okay. So you're watching the son and the father out there working on the train, and all of a sudden, the father is like, yeah, so we can make up stories about people however we want. So he picks up a little figurine, and he holds it up, and he was like, so we can make stories. The little boy takes scissors and cuts off the head of the little figurine person. And they're laughing and talking. And when the mom comes, they kind of like hide it and don't really show her. Like, not really hide it, but like stand in certain ways so she can't see that they're chopping off hands and legs and arms and stuff like that, right? And so, in one point of me, I'm like, well, maybe it's like, oh, this was a woman. Now we're going to take this body shape and we're going to make it a man. Or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that.
I'm thinking voodoo.
I don't want to get into it. But anyway, so then I'm like, interesting. So she's like, okay, dinner's ready, y'all. Like, come on. So they're like, okay. And then they chuckle at each other and they go on inside, So when they get to dinner, the husband's like, hey, I got to go to this particular other city. They're asking me to go for this conference. Well, in her mind, why do you have to go to so many conferences? I've never heard of an ophthalmologist or optometrist having to go to so many conferences. So what does she assume? He's having an affair.
Of course, yeah.
So therefore, she starts, when he leaves for his conference, she starts driving herself crazy looking for evidence of an affair. And she searches high. She searches low. She's talking to her coworker, who is Delgado, teacher Delgado, who's at the school. And she's like, yep, he's having an affair. I already know. There's no doubt about it. That's what he's doing. And so now this is somebody that she is close to. So you are like, okay, you're so concerned about him having an affair. Are you getting ready to have an affair? Because you were talking to this guy and it's feeling like y'all are a little too close, Yeah. And then she's like, well, you need to help me break into his office, or you need to help me do this. And you need to. So it becomes this whole situation in her head that she spirals. And the whole movie is about, is her spiral really accurate?
Yeah, or not?
Or is it not?
All in her head, yeah.
Right. Is it all in her head, or is it accurate? And in the process of her doing that, is she creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of, well, which you are thinking that you are, like, you're thinking that your marriage is about to end, but are you the one that's about to end it? Are you thinking that your marriage is about to end, but everything actually is okay? And he even came in one point and he was like, babe, I thought that we're doing fine. Like, what are you talking about? And she was like, well, you get to go away. You get to leave for 3 days and forget all about me and the son and da-da-da-da. Well, what I'll say is at the end, which was kind of interesting, and I won't give it away, but there is some developments that come out that you're just like, this, you could kind of see, but you didn't really know what you were looking at, right? So it just kind of took a different turn. And then it's one of those shows, though, that at the very end, they give you no closure.
Of course. I hate that.
So that's the one thing
that gold is the gold inside the briefcase on Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah. And so that's where I do want to at least tell people that, because if you're going to watch all of this and invest and you're thinking, oh, Lenora said that it was this, decent movie. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's a perpetual it's like a crazed woman. Because the way, and not even crazed, the way that she does things and goes about things, and you're just looking at her like, chick, like it's almost uncomfortable to watch her like have so much clarity in her own mind about, yes, this is it. This is the way to go. This is what's going to happen. And then knowing that some of that, maybe it is true and accurate. You're just going about it the wrong way. And some of it is, no, you are totally off base, right? And then some of it could be even bigger than what she thinks that it's supposed to be. So I don't know. It goes in a lot of different directions, but not having that closure at the end, at least to me, I couldn't put the puzzle pieces together. I probably need to look at a YouTube video to say, oh, does this click and make, like, did they do some Easter egg or something that I didn't pick up on that makes it make sense? But it starts with, kind of certain terminology and things like that, almost like Sinners. You know, they start with this conversation and later on they kind of refer to it again. And that's kind of how this movie is. It starts with something and it ends with something. And you're just like, huh, okay. And then when it faded to black, I was like, womp, womp. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that is Holland. Yeah, that's Holland. It is on Prime, and like I said, it stars Nicole Kidman. Oh, this is the other thing I meant to say. So it's about Holland, and you're thinking Holland, but it's not. It's Holland, Michigan.
Okay.
So it's
didn't even know there was a Holland, Michigan.
I don't know if there is really a Holland, Michigan. But that's what they're talking about.
It might be like one of those like names that is like one in every state, like Springfield.
Maybe, yeah. So it was so funny. So they were like, "Oh yeah." So she was like, "Yeah, this is so great." And my husband, you know, I was in a bad place, and he brought me to this wonderful place called Holland, Michigan. And you're just like, oh. But everything is about the tulips. Everything is about the clogs. It's about the dress. It's about the, you know, the hats. So even though they're in Holland, Michigan, and even when it's time for them to say prayer over food and stuff, like they're speaking, I don't even know what Holland people speak.
I don't know.
It's like the Netherlands and Amsterdam and Holland and all that, like wrapped into one.
Denmark or something.
Yeah, maybe it's Danish. Danish? Is it Danish? Danish? Yeah.
I don't know.
So, but yeah, so
we're
they're
American.
speaking.
We don't know all that stuff.
I know we're just not that smart. But yeah, so but when they speak their, you know, prayers over food and stuff like that, like they're doing that, they'll go to events and everybody's dressed up and they'll have fairs and you know, parades and all that, and it's all based on literally like you're living in Holland, but you're not, but your friends and everybody, you know, they're all, I guess it is Danish.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's the one thing I did forget to mention is that it's not actually based in Holland.
It's
and
in Holland,
as you mentioned how some of the vehicles and things like that, and you were like, what year is this? I don't know what year it was either in that. So I was just like, I wonder what year this is taking place in, because I couldn't quite put my finger on it, because like even the wallpaper and some of the rooms looked a little older. The furniture looks like it's like the 80s. Is it the 90s? Is it the 70s? Like I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then I don't know enough about cars to know like the car that I saw driving down the road, what year it potentially could be. But I do know that everything felt a little bit older. Like even how the windows would open up and how you had radiators and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, those windows that you would crank, and they open, like those kind of things. I was just like, this is older, which made me feel like 70s. But then I'm like, everybody doesn't feel like 70s.
But then also, you know what it could be? It could be the whole fact that people like to buy old things and just keep it and be like, I love the window that I have to use elbow grease to open.
Maybe, but then it was like
this tacky, you know, wallpaper.
But it was the cars, it was the buildings, it was everything. Just looked like it was a little bit older, and they may have done a better job than that movie that you're talking about. I didn't pay attention to the backdrop as much, but yeah, they may have done better than that. So, but anyway, that's it. Holland on Prime.
All right, so my next one is When the Levees Broke.
Okay.
And it's a Requiem in 4 acts. It's the name of it. I'm on Act 1.
Okay.
Basically, they're just going over it in 4 acts.
Okay.
So this is a documentary about Hurricane Katrina. And this is giving, I guess I'm getting more insight that I didn't know, but I thought that I knew. I know about the levees breaking and stuff like that, but I did not know the details of said information about the levees. Okay. So, like I said, this is an HBO documentary, so you can get it. You can watch it on Max. So, what's happening is Hurricane Katrina's coming. So people know that the hurricane was coming, but they didn't think it was going to be as big, because by the time they were getting the information, it was out towards it was out towards Bahamas.
Okay.
And they were like, it's a category 3.
Yeah.
And they were saying, it could possibly hit Florida and then wrap around to, through up, was it Mississippi and everything, and come down around to where Houston is.
Okay.
So that's what they were saying at first. And then they were like saying that the last time that they had a really big hurricane was in 1965. And that was Hurricane Bessie.
Bessie.
Right? So now, with all of this happening, the governor and the mayor, they had talked about evacuation to set up aid and set up a petition to get the federal government to help. Now, this is what the governor said. This is what the mayor said. Now, a lot of people are upset with both of them for different reasons. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know these people, so I can't say anything. But Max Mayfield, who is the head of the Hurricane Center, called the governor. And it was called the mayor and said, hey, I just got off the phone with the governor. And if I was you, I would say for you to tell your people to do a mandatory evacuation and get everybody out. Because this hurricane is now category 5. And it's going to hit hard. It's going to hit hard, especially like in your area. And you are, I can't remember how many thousand feet.
They're 9,000 feet below sea level. Like that,
so it's like, so get the people out.
Yeah.
The the mayor, then he said he gets off the phone, he calls his lawyers, and then it was like, do whatever we have to do in order for it to be a mandate that people have to leave. Now, people are upset with that, and it was like, well, he waited until the morning to go ahead and tell everybody that they had to do evacuation.
Yeah.
And like, why didn't he do it right then and there? But from what the governor was saying, he was like, when it comes to mandatory evacuations, it is a big conversation with multiple
you can't
things.
just make it in a bubble.
But he made a mistake by saying, and I talked to local businesses. That's when people are like, why are you talking to businesses about stuff and not talking to the people and telling the people what's happening? So that's what a lot of people
because it should be both. Because if businesses need to prepare and put the borders up to stop their place from flooding, then so do people.
Exactly. But that he didn't say why he was talking to businesses. He just said, I talked to my lawyer and we talked to some other businesses and then we made the call in the morning.
Okay.
So therefore it's like, what businesses were you calling? What were you talking about? Things like that. So, after that happened, this happened on the 26th.
Okay.
All right. So they worked it out. They told everybody first thing in the morning. Like I said, everybody was mad at Ray Nagin. It's like, yo, it's your fault. More people could have gotten out if you would have said it when you found out at 8:00 at night instead of waiting until 6 a.m. to go ahead and say it to everybody. That's a lot of time that people were
wasted.
Exactly. So they said that the Superdome was the only place that could withstand the winds and the storm, and they said the structure was strong enough to withstand the winds from a category 3.
And this was going to be a 5.
But they've never had a 5 before. I think Bessie might have been a 4. So and they said they showed clips and videos and everything of this, and Spike Lee actually was the one who made this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But they showed the videos from inside and you could see where the wind is getting part of the roof and pulling it up. One part, not how big the Superdome is.
Yeah.
It had this one part that was opening it up and then rain started to come in. So then they had to move people. They said that it was on the 29th. They said people could hear explosion sounds. That they said somebody was like, it could be Transformers, and somebody was like, well, if it's Transformers, it's like 2 booms and then a long pause and then 2 more booms and then 3 booms and then 5 booms. So it was like, we don't see like how many Transformers are there that's gonna go that all of us will be able to hear it so closely. Now they said that when Bessie hit, they did have dynamite to break the levees to save the richer neighborhoods. So they thought that had happened again. And that's why the structure wasn't holding. Then it goes into, they said that allegedly.
Right. Now, that was previously, not during this one to save the richer homes, but in a previous one.
In a previous one, they
now,
said that.
Did they go through how people got into the Superdome? Because I lived through it, so I'm remembering.
So what it was once they made the mandate, they said, if you have nowhere to go,
come to the Superdome.
Come to the Superdome. Because they knew that it was a poor area, so people don't have ways to get back and forth.
The lower Ninth Ward.
So it was like, if you don't have a way, please come to the Superdome. We'll have, somewhere for you to stay. And that's the most sound structure. Mm-hmm. So, let me see, where was I at? So allegedly, there was no investigation about when Katrina happened, if there was explosives that went off. And there was no investigation when it happened with Bessie.
It's the rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Potentially.
Exactly.
Allegedly.
So they said that in 1927 that they had dynamited it before due to the richer people being like, all right, we have to dynamite this so we can save all of our property, all of our schools and stores and everything in here, and everybody else we ain't even.
So they just building levees to dynamite them to save the rich.
Yeah,
and rebuild it again.
That's what they're saying. Allegedly.
Yeah,
Allegedly. So they have this there's machinery called PAM.
Okay.
Now PAM is a automated, if the hurricane, I did the air quotes.
Yeah.
If a hurricane was to hit New Orleans, what would happen? And it said that 80% of it would be underwater. Mm-hmm. And there was, 80% of it would be underwater, and that it would just go so far into the city that it would be like nobody's ever seen before. Mm-hmm. So they were saying that because the levees were not structurally sound, that the water slapping up against it was not like when they show some of the spots of the levees, the metal that they have on the guardrail on the side of the road.
Yeah. So
just imagine that, but flattened out and sitting in the ground. So and that's supposed to stop the water.
Oh, that's a levee?
That was one levee.
That's
another one was a
metal
concrete
thing that the
one.
water will push over in a half a second. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. You know what actually happened? The water actually moved the whole levee because it wasn't that deep in the ground. So it moved the dirt and the levee.
Yeah, because water is a powerful force.
Water is I feel like water is the most powerful force.
It's scary, yeah. And
it's more powerful than
the
air.
concrete.
Yeah. It can cut through things. Yeah. So why would you not think
Hello, Grand Canyon.
But exactly. That's what I'm saying. So the water went so deep into the city that some people were some of the people that I guess were like got politicians or whatever, they said that when they looked at some pictures, they were like, wait, that store is in the French Quarter.
Mm-hmm. Why is it over here?
Why is the water all the way up here?
Yeah.
And then they were like, they hadn't gone out there. So they were like, but the water is up to the doorway at this place, at this store that's in the French Quarter. Like what is even happening? So, and then they were like, okay, this is like literally an emergency. So as this is happening, there are people who are saying, yeah, I was just walking, and then all of a sudden I'm walking down the street trying to get to the Superdome, and I hear, and he says you could see the top of a manhole cover shaking and gurgling. And then he said they flew off, and all the water started shooting up and all into the road.
Wow.
There was a man who was like, yeah, I was just at my apartment. I was on the second floor. I had to jump out and swim here in order to get from the second floor apartment. So now.
And that's scary because gators.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know if gators would even survive that.
I mean, I'm just saying, though, that's their natural habitat is water. So
yeah, that's true.
Having gators in there, electrical things could have been shocking people.
But you know what? I think gators are smarter than humans, where they could feel it and be like,
they probably were like, I'm out.
Yeah, we're out.
Yeah. Let's head to Florida.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Let's go see our cousins and them.
Yeah.
So then from there, they were saying that they still hadn't heard from the government. So on the 29th, the 28th, the president said, this is mandatory. Everybody needs to leave Louisiana. Because, well, not Louisiana, but everybody needs to leave New Orleans. This is a mandatory evacuation. But then the president tried to say he never got any information of how
the president of the United States.
Yes.
Okay.
George W. Bush.
Yeah, I remember that. But he never got the
he said he never got the full scale of how bad it was.
Oh, he's a part of the documentary?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's not actually, they don't sit down and talk to him, but it's clips of him.
Clips of him from news things.
But he was like, nobody told me how bad it was. And Ray Nagin said, he looked at him, he said, well, sir, if nobody has told you how bad this is, God help us for you being the president of the United States. Because you're the president and you don't know that part of your country is They said it was, I think they said it was 900 acres of land was flooded.
Wow.
Yeah, and they said that the only other thing that was close was any kind of destruction that America had gone to was 9/11, and they said it was probably about what they say like 300 9/11s all at once.
Yeah, because 9/11 was a big catastrophe. Yeah. And so many people who passed.
Yeah, but it was just one area where you have an entire town. Yeah. An entire county.
Yeah, whole city.
Yeah, exactly. So they were saying that more people were getting pissed off because they were like, one guy came up to a police officer and was like, hey, what can we do? And he was like, hey, how can I help you? He was like, you're in charge, right? He's like, yeah. He was like, all right, we're from Canada. We're mountaineers. We're, Mounties. So we're coming down here to help. And he said that he just had tears in his eyes because he was like, why is it somebody from Canada came all the way down
such sweet people
to come and help us, but our own people are not helping us.
Right, exactly.
And that's what fueled the fire for people to think that, oh, they did this on purpose because they're not trying to help us. They're not doing anything.
Yeah, people were so ticked off. There were people on roofs. There were people who were just begging and crying and pleading.
They said it was so many people that died in the attics because they said it was so hot. So people are in the attics of their houses. The house is full of water. They're burning up. Yeah. They have nowhere to go. They said it could have been 120, 130, 140 degrees because now you're in a small area.
Yeah, because you think being in your attic, you're going to be safe from the flood, but the flood can still,
rises,
but the flood also can go above your attic, and now you've drowned in there, and you can't get out because
from your attic.
Right, because that's like a strong structure. It's the T, the A is your roof, right? So therefore, unless you're going to push out a vent and try to squeeze through a vent or something like that, like there's just not enough. Yeah, and that's why some people went around the other way and just said, well, let me go on top of my roof. But then that's a hard thing to get to depending on how your house is structured. But that's the thing. A lot of people got on top of their roof once the water got to a certain level and they could get out of their window, swim up, and then get on top of their roof. That's true. Yeah, so, but it was many days of not eating. I think they said 4 or 5 days before food even came. Into the Superdome? Food or water. Into the Superdome? Into the Superdome. Yeah. But another thing that happened is that Superdome was a mess. They said it was like a cesspool. That's because they had no water. Yeah, they had no water. But people were just going to the bathroom and just, it was like, it was a mess. And they said that everything that they say about rape and everything that happened in the Superdome, not true. Not true. Okay. They said that all of the people down there were taking care of each other. Okay. There were people who were picking up ladies and like older ladies. Helping them out. Yeah. They said it was so many people, old people that died of heat stroke and of starvation and of not having proper hydration. Yeah, and the medications. They might have left those at home, everything. Exactly. Yeah. So, so they had days of not eating. They did have some MREs. That's a meal ready, whatever. Yeah. But then like not enough. Not enough. Yeah. So the storm hit on Sunday and they still hadn't had anything to eat by Wednesday. Now, people were just outside. Yeah. Sleeping and being outside because that was the dry area. So there were people on interstates. They had some people go to the convention center and the Superdome, and people were also still in homes waiting to be rescued. Now, another thing that happened was this man tells a story about him and his mother, and they were saying buses are coming. They're telling everybody in the Superdome, and then they had also told people, hey, if you have nowhere to go to the convention center. Yeah. They're within walking distance of each other. So it's like, go to the convention center. There was people in the convention center. There were people outside the convention center. They said it was like 30,000 people just in the street outside of the convention center, telling people that there were buses coming. Buses are coming. Buses are coming. Buses never came. One man said that somebody told him the buses are coming from this area, so if you want your mother to be the first one to get on, go down that way. He said as he's walking with his mother, she's in a wheelchair, he's asking her questions. No, she's asking him questions. And then he said he was like, she was constantly talking, and then all of a sudden he was like, it was about 10, 15 minutes. She didn't say nothing. He was like, so I thought she nodded off. He said, I looked at her, she wasn't moving. I shook her, said nothing.
So then he said he had like a little towel that he used, like, like a hand towel that he was using like to get the sweat off of him. And he said he took that and covered her face. And there was another man that was there and was like, hey man, I got this blanket. Like, let's go ahead and cover her up. So then they go back to the convention center because they're like, we got to do something with her. They go back to the convention center, and the person who's heading the convention center was like, say your goodbyes now because all dead bodies are right through that door.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god!
And he was like, I'm not leaving my mama in the room full of dead bodies. He was like, sir, there is nothing else that we can do right now.
So was she dead at that point?
She was dead. Yeah,
okay, so she did pass away, but
And he was
once you said blanket, I was like, it's hot. Probably that's the case.
But they covered her with a blanket because she was gone. And it was horrible. Like, they said it was so many dead bodies that was in the convention center in a separate room, but the smell of death because it was so hot. I guess that's like an Emmett Till kind of thing around there, where it's floating bodies everywhere. They show in the documentary the bodies that are there, like swollen and animals eating them, and it's all it's horrible. It's so bad. But yeah, it was, the buses were supposed to have come. So with, they didn't allow, so there was a bridge where the buses were supposed to be coming from. Yeah. So what happens when people's like, forget this, I'm just going to walk to the next town. Yeah. It's dry over there. Yeah. As they were walking, there was a place called Jefferson Parish that is next to, okay. Jefferson Parish, the police chief, or I don't know, I think it was a police chief, or it might have been, no, maybe it wasn't police chief. I think it might have been like maybe the mayor there or something like that. But he had his police officers standing at the bridge with guns, telling people that they could not come in.
What? Why?
Yes.
These are all your people, your community. Okay, you got people from Canada coming down to help.
No, because Jefferson Parish is a Caucasian area.
So?
The 9th Ward is all Negro.
So he was just being racist, saying, you're not coming over here stealing and robbing and da-da-da-da-da.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like when it rains, it pours, right? Because, it's like, these are the people who are the poorest, or the people who, have sacrificed the most, whatever. Now you've lost everything. Yeah. And, by the way, parents, family, whatever. Yeah, exactly. And then the rich people had nothing happen to them.
Yeah, and they're just
they're totally
sorry
okay.
about your luck. You just thought you chose to live there. I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's unfortunate.
But, it was so sad because they were saying that old people were walking that way. People in wheelchairs. There were so many people, older people that were walking, and like some younger people too that were walking, and then they just dropped dead. And all they had to do was somebody just came over and put a blanket on top of them. There was nothing else they would do. They said there were so many dead bodies all
just
along.
Trying to get to somewhere safe.
Exactly. Another thing that happened was Sean Penn. Yeah, was there.
I remember him being very vocal.
Oh, yeah. Sean Penn was there, and he actually was working with a preacher to go and like save some people, and I believe they saved 10 children that were in a house. The mother actually passed away because she needed oxygen, and her oxygen tank was gone, was empty, so she died, and the kids were in the house with her because everywhere else was flooded. Yeah, so sad.
That is really sad. So this is like. I mean, it sounds like an intriguing documentary, but it sounds so depressing.
And it also sounds like a third world country and not the great United States of America.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, as you've been talking about all this, I'm just like, yeah, it could happen again. Because if something happened in a certain place right now, I feel as though every area of the country isn't going to get the same attention as it would. So richer areas might get more attention, poorer areas might not, and we'd be living this same thing. I just think the difference is that I don't think Bush intentionally was not doing what he needed to do for New Orleans. But I do 100% feel like, at least from what I knew, and I don't know, I didn't watch this documentary, that he was way too late for sending in FEMA and getting all of the things there that needed to be there. It was super extremely late. And even his visit, like everything was just way too late.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll get into that part. But yeah, so the people in Jefferson Parish were calling them thugs, and the white people didn't want any of the black people to come there. And I'm like, well, it's not the zombie apocalypse. They're not going to eat your brains, bro. No. They just want to be dry. They want to take a shower. They want to eat something. They want to have some water. Oh, yeah. But yeah, they were just not having it. So people are so mad of no help. What do they start doing? They start looting. And they start burning up the stuff.
And then that's when they're like, see, that's why they didn't want y'all to come in here.
Exactly. And it's like, but the thing is, they're looting and stuff because they don't have anything.
Can you give me something to eat?
Yeah, they don't. And then we're like, well, there were police officers that are walking out with DVDs. I don't even care about the police officers walking out with DVDs. Look at all the people that are walking out with food and water and stuff like that. Yeah. Because the place is open.
Police officers?
Yeah, police officers walking out with stuff too.
Oh gosh.
When the looting was happening, what are you going to do as a police officer? You got 300 people looting a Walmart, and it's 2 of y'all.
So you start looting with them? Is that what you're saying?
No, and I'm not saying you loot with them, but I mean, like, I'm not saying loot with them, but I mean, like, but you can't stop them.
Can't stop them.
You can't stop them.
No.
Or anything like that.
And you might be sympathetic to them because you're just like, I get it. I understand why you're doing this. Nobody has come to save you.
Exactly. So within 4 or 5 days, and the federal government had not responded. They said that the government was quick to help the other countries when there was wars and everything, but they don't help their own. And we always say that. Mm-hmm. But one thing that happened was the president, Ray Nagin, got so upset and was speaking out about stuff. There were newscasters that were coming down to Louisiana, getting the information straight from the source, and they were saying that that from there it actually made things kind of change up, where the president was like, oh snap, I really have to come down, like I really have to go there now, because now it's all over the world news. It's not just in the United States news, now it's over the world news, so I have to go. And when he did show up, they said that he went to Ray Nagin and was like, hey, no, not him, but the Secret Service was like, Mr. Nagin or Mayor Nagin, we are going to get you on Air Force One so you can talk to the president. He said, I haven't had a shower in 5 days.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the president of the mind, they said, don't worry about it. We'll have everything set up for you. He said he took him to Air Force One, gave him a shower, gave him some clothes and everything to put on. Yeah. He said they knocked on the door and was like, Mayor Nagin, you got 5 minutes. He said, ain't no way I'm getting out this shower. Yeah, right. You know, in 5 minutes. And then he said they knocked on the door again and was like, sir, the president needs you now. He said, I took 5 more minutes. And then I went ahead and talked to the president. Now, there was a recording of interview of I can't remember the name of the host, but it's WKFP or something like that. But he was interviewing Ray Nagin, and Ray Nagin was like, "This doesn't make any sense. If they're saying that there's buses coming." He's like, they're saying that they're bringing school buses. He said, stop every Greyhound that is in this United States and get them to come down here and get these people. Stop doing this. Start doing that. He's like, redirect planes to come here so we can get these people and fly them out somewhere, so they would be safe. So, like from there, that just made a lot more people kind of like Nagin and not be so hard on him as they were before about him not calling it in a decent amount of time. But basically, it was horrible. I mean, by the time they got to the people to get the buses and stuff like that to them, they had flights. They were like, okay, we're taking these amount of people to the airport, and they would take them to the airport, and then they'd be like, all right, you need to get on this plane. It's like, well, where's the plane going? Yeah. Oh, well, we don't know. We just need to get on the plane. Yeah.
Yeah, so many people ended up in so many other areas. Yeah. Like people now are in Texas forever.
People in Texas forever. People in Florida forever. People in Atlanta forever. Yeah. A lot of people went to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people were happy about that. Yeah. But it was what was it? Utah.
Arizona,
Arizona, Arkansas, anywhere, Oklahoma, anywhere around. Yeah.
And they just shipped people there. Just go.
Yeah. Nothing in the north. I think everything was down south.
Yeah, everything was. I don't
but then,
know
but then there was like
Chicago.
But there were so many people who were like, I was separated from my family.
Yeah,
100%. Like I don't know where my child is right now. Yeah, I don't know where anybody is. There were so many children that had lived because their parents had died because the parents like put them first or whatever.
Yeah, put them on.
Whatever. Yeah. So it's very deep. And I'm only on. This is the first episode of 4. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, okay. I'm on it. It might take me a while to go back to it because it is very depressing for something like that to happen in the United States, and you live in the United States, and you're just like, ugh, can this happen again? But it is really good to watch if you want to get get this information. So like I said, it is called When the Levees Broke, a Requiem in 4 Acts.
Okay.
And like I said, it's on HBO Max.
Gotcha.
All right. What you have, sis?
Well, I just have one hot topic I haven't even really researched a lot, but I've just been seeing a lot of conversation about, which is the Diddy trial.
I knew it was going to be Diddy.
I was going to talk about something else, but I don't have enough time. So I want to just say that the things that I've been seeing about all of this confirm for me why victims don't come forward to say certain things when they are victims, because people don't
believe you, and people are going to be like, you just want money, or you just want this, or you did it to yourself because you stayed there.
Yeah, and I'm just like floored.
But I see how they're blaming Cassie, because Cassie did say when they started their relationship, she said, this is a big mogul and I wanted to be with him. So she's like, I went ahead and gave in to do some of these acts,
of course, because
I'm a jealous girlfriend just as much as he's a jealous boyfriend, and I didn't want him doing it with somebody else. He would constantly say, oh, you're just boring, I knew you were going to be like this, and kind of like use reverse psychology to make her go ahead and want to do all of these nasty, filthy, disgusting things.
Right. Yeah, there is definitely talk of nasty, filthy, disgusting things that were taking place in regards to that, to the point that a lot of people are even saying, like, gosh, her husband, like how in the world can he sit here and listen to this? But she might have already told him all of this stuff.
But then they said that the text messages between Cassie and Diddy were so bad that they didn't even show it in court. They just passed it around. They just had they didn't even talk about it. They had like an iPad or whatever, and they could see the messages and they were reading them right there. But it was not shown to the court.
Yeah,
only shown to the people,
to the jury, to the people,
to the jury. Yeah, I think maybe the jury. I think the jury and the plaintiff,
anybody who needed
and the judge,
see it, but not for salacious purposes of the.
Yeah, it's only for the cases, not for press.
Yes. So long story short, it's graphic. A lot of things that were talked about, and just like everything from I don't even want to talk about it, but just soreness and things.
Oh yeah, just
mouth.
Okay. So stuff. It was like being waterboarded by urine. Mm-hmm. Having to do the freak offs even when you are on when your aunt flow is here, when you're on your cycle. The beating, the bruising, the just doing whatever this man who's sitting there. Like they said that the oiling up thing was like every few minutes they had to re-oil, reapply oil, just slide all over each other.
Yeah.
But then they said something about, well, it was, I'll tell you afterwards because this is not PG enough for the podcast.
It's a lot.
But if you want to find out the information, just look it up. I'm sure.
Yeah, you can look it up on a TikTok.
I'm sure CNN has all the information.
Yeah.
And, TMZ has it everywhere.
TMZ. Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit of everywhere. But my thing was this. So somebody had posted something and they said, not gonna lie, reading the testimony got me side-eyeing Cassie. Just a touch, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, here's
just a touch.
Yeah. So my thing is this. And this is what I posted, and a lot of people seem to have agreed with me. I mean, it didn't go viral, but I got quite a few agreements. But I said, okay, so people are saying, but she knew. She pursued. She knew what she was getting herself into. She knew about freak-offs beforehand, or she did this, she did that. Even if she didn't know, she participated, right? Here was my take on it, and everybody might not agree. But I said, some of you are currently working or have worked at jobs.
That's what I'm saying.
Look, lied to you to get you in the door.
Yes, Lord.
And although it might have seemed and started off really decent, you started to see the writing on the wall, and that everything that glitters isn't gold.
Yep.
And over time, they manipulated you. They jerked you around. And your boss has been disrespectful at times and even abusive. You absolutely hate it there. And yet you go to work there every single day for whatever reasons. Make logical sense to you. I got bills to pay.
Yep.
I got these kids to put through college. I got this to go on. I got that to go on. Until enough is enough and you finally get the window or opportunity to leave.
Exactly.
And yet you're going to judge her for not walking away, especially if she loved him. Yeah. Some of y'all are staying on these jobs and you don't even like to people.
That's what
you don't
saying.
even like nobody there. But you're staying there because of the fact that it's your own reasons as to why you're putting up with the abuse.
Exactly.
That you're putting up with the situation. But yet you're going to call her out.
Why are you talking to me right now?
I know. But I'm like, you're going to call her out. And this girl responded and she said, definitely not a comparable anthology. She said, or analogy, sorry. She said, is it the employee's fault that the employer, no, is it the employer's fault that the employee stayed? Did the employer force the employee to stay? Like, that's her thing. Yeah. Like, well, is it their fault that they are horrible people and you chose to stay there? That's on you.
We saw a video of her leaving.
She trying to leave.
Dragging her, him kicking her and then dragging her back down the hallway. So
and my response to that was, hi there, wavy wave, because, you know, I'm nice, I'm cool, I'm sweet, I'm not going to be coming at somebody.
No, she's
you know?
nice nasty.
I'm nice nasty. Yeah. Okay. And I said, I do think it's comparable. If someone is in a situation that they don't feel as though they can leave for whatever reason makes logical sense to them, regardless of what that reason might be, it doesn't matter if it's a relationship, a church, a cult, or a job. I said, both things can be true. That people can take advantage of other people and people can be a victim until they see a way out.
Exactly.
Both things can be true.
Absolutely.
So therefore, people do things out of obligation every single day. And I was getting ready to say, we all have done it. You probably do things out of obligation every single day. I said, because you actually don't want, even things that you don't want to do. I said, for various reasons, like not wanting to rock the boat, not wanting to hurt somebody's feelings, not wanting to disappoint anybody. So I said, and then it can be exploited in any situation, not just a relationship. Yeah. Friends can make you feel guilty because you're not going to show up at their birthday party, right? Yeah. You have churches who are going to ask for money over and over and over again every single week for the building fund. That's exactly what I put on here. The building fund. And ain't nothing been built in years. I said, jobs requiring long hours, but then they don't want to pay you overtime. I said, people do take advantage of others, especially when they know the person has limited options. Yeah. It doesn't make them any less of a victim until they can figure out how to get out of their situation.
How strong are you to
And that's
deal
my
with
humble
this?
opinion.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm like, look, you're trying to say that's not the same. You have a choice. You have a right. Yeah. Anybody has a choice to do anything. Yeah. And so therefore, but it's almost like this situation where it's like, okay, I'm in this now. Yeah. Do I have an option to get out? Whether it's a job, whether it's a cult, whether it's the relationship, whatever, this friendship. Can I get out of this friendship?
What can I do, or am I stuck? Right. And I just have to go ahead and go with the punches.
Go with the punches, or be on the street.
That I don't have anything that I can go to or be able to do from here.
Or I'm being threatened if I do. Or my family's being threatened if I do. Or this happens. Or that. Like, everybody is acting like, oh, she was smart enough at 19 to know what she was getting herself into.
19.
She was smart enough to do da-da-da-da-da.
I did a lot of dumb stuff at 19. But actually, no, I really didn't. Actually, at 19, I was good. Actually,
you were good at 19?
Yeah.
Okay.
22 is when it all went downhill.
So, but that's the thing, right? So my whole point is, like, let's not judge. Yeah. Don't judge lest ye be judged. And don't let the log in somebody else's eye take care of the log that's in your own. However the Bible says it.
Makes me think of that she is, whoever that person is who responded to you, is the person who would get mad at your husband's girlfriend and not your husband.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's okay. I mean, that's what men do. Yeah. Men do what they do, so it's her fault.
So it's okay for men to do what they do.
It's the real,
but because she stayed, it's all her fault. No,
it's the most ridiculous thing I have ever. And all of the blaming, like, it's so many people. I was looking at a TikTok and it was 9 people or 8 people in boxes, and half of them were like, I don't even know why she's coming after him. She should have did something. She ain't never called the police. She didn't never do this.
But she didn't. But
like,
she didn't put the video out either. Everything came out once the video came out. Correct.
The video came out because she put the lawsuit out.
Oh, because the lawsuit.
Yeah, the lawsuit created the ripple effect for people to look into things.
Yeah, let me go ahead and put this video out here because I did see it and Diddy gave me money, but I did not sign a deed.
But but the thing too is that, like, if the way that everybody's describing it, which I'm so glad it didn't happen this way, is that if he had just paid her when she quietly asked, nobody would never know.
This, yeah.
However, because he was like, no, I ain't giving you nothing. Then she said, okay, well, then I'll make this public.
Exactly.
And then with her making it public, and she knew she was going to bear the brunt of people not believing her, because they don't even believe her now that they've seen the video of her being dragged back. And people still are blaming her. So therefore, she knew she was going to be on the other side of that. And then knowing that, oh, somebody else just favor, or, you know, an angel, a guardian angel said, you know what? He's trying to act like this isn't something that he's done. Now that she's gone live, let me show that, this is it. However, TMZ or whoever got it, they got it.
Yeah, because he said, no, it's not me. And then be like, it was me. And I was so wrong. And I was in a mess. Wrong headspace. And I was drinking and doing a lot of drugs. They say that you're still doing that, bro.
It was your whole life.
But all the people talk about, them Diddy parties is wow. They crazy. He be doing so if everybody's saying that the Diddy parties
that was not a bad headspace.
Yeah.
That's your life.
That is you.
That is you.
Yeah.
And literally, I think I told you that was the whole reason that since childhood he was called Puffy, is because he would puff up his head and be all puffy and huffy and puffy when he would get upset about stuff. So therefore, it's like, this was your life. This was who you are. And you felt entitled since you were at Howard when you were throwing parties then.
Yep.
And so who knows what those parties did? We don't even know if it started back then.
Also, he is struggling with his sexuality from what they are saying happened in these freak-offs.
Do you think he's struggling, or is he just bisexual?
I don't think that he actually did anything with the guys.
Okay.
From what I've heard so far. Okay. He hasn't done anything with the guys.
So far. Okay.
But he wants things from the guys on his body. Mm-hmm. If you pick up what I'm putting down.
Well, here's the thing that I think about a lot of people. Anybody, let's just put it this way. Anybody who is famous, and I will say men specifically, but it could be females too. I have no idea. But I'm thinking men who are sexual in nature, by nature. You can only get so much of a thing from a woman.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
If you have 500,000 women in your life, you're bored.
Yeah, I mean,
so you need something that is going to create some level of excitement. And so therefore, any other thing that you can have, and it could be everything from, hey, now I'm interested in seeing what a guy does if he's pleasuring me, right?
Yeah.
Then it can be, okay, that's an interesting experiment. Did that 100 times. Now I'm bored with that. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm bored with that. I'm not gay. I'm just trying out different stuff just to figure out what I can do to get me, to that point. Then it becomes, oh, well, maybe there's something with a trans person. Let me try that out and just see what's going on there. Done that 20 times. All right, let me go over here. Let me do that. So I just think that when you have an overabundance of stimuli in a certain area, you get bored. And it's just like how people get bored with women because they watch too much porn.
That's true, yeah.
So how can you not get bored with women if you've had 500,000 women?
It's like Diddy was reenacting,
or let's say 5,000,
the most disgusting porn in hotel rooms, and
and that's because of
him being bored. I mean, I get that,
the boredness and the deviance that comes along with you feeling as though you want to have power and control over different people. Because like Oprah always said, whatever you are, you become more of with money. So if you're already kind of a little bit of a sexual deviant, then when you have a ton of money, you become the biggest sexual deviant. And if you are somebody who is Jeffrey really cool and sweet and nice and kind and giving and caring, then you become even more of that person who's sweet and kind and giving and caring. And when you come across the deviants, you're like, oops, staying away from that. That's not my lane. Because it's messing with my brand. So, it just depends. And you have those people who are in the middle of the road, right? So you have those people, who are on the witness list.
Ooh, the witness list.
The witness list. Oh my gosh, am I going to be able to find that again? And so, but basically the witness list will just tell you they
had the escort on there. They had the police officer who was actually security at the hotel when all the Cassie stuff happened. He was somebody who came and spoke. Because they questioned him. They was like, so you're a police officer now? He was like, yes. And then they were like, so tell me the reason why you didn't feel that it was necessary for you to document all of this stuff in your information that you put about the damage of the hotel. He was like, because it's not necessary for the hotel purposes. What he did with her has nothing to do with the hotel itself. So and then they were like, well, why'd you take pictures and blah, 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 blah. He was like, I took pictures to show to my wife because she won't gonna believe that Diddy was beating Cassie in the hallway.
Exactly, right.
She was like, I didn't show them to anybody. They haven't been out on anything. So, yeah.
All right, so here's the witness list. I don't even know who some of these people are. Okay. Most of them I know, though. Cassie, Kanye West.
Why?
Kid Cudi. Okay. Prince Harry. Okay. Mike Myers. Michael B. Jordan. What? Young Miami. Cuba Gooding Jr., T.D. Jakes, Daphne Joy, Justin Bieber, Chris Brown, 50 Cent, Travis Scott, Ty Dolla $ign, Future, Tory Lanez.
He's not doing nothing. He just got stabbed up 13 times in his prison. He's the one that shot Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, in the foot.
Yeah, okay. He got stabbed up 13 times. I think he just got off a ventilator.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, French Montana, Little Baby, and Meek Mill. So that is supposedly, so far, the witness list of people who
these people have to go to...
have to testify.
Well, I don't think Chris Brown is, because I think Chris Brown just got in trouble for in the UK for beating somebody with a bottle.
Okay. Look, Chris Brown said, I don't want to testify, so I'm getting in trouble in the BK.
Yeah. In the UK. Hey, lock me up. Y'all nice over here in the UK. This is a nice jail. You
gotta realize people are like, I don't want this smoke. People gonna be getting arrested. Yeah. People gonna be going missing. Yeah. People gonna be like, I mean, they're choosing to go missing. Not that Diddy's gonna have them go missing, but like they're just gonna be like, you know what? And you still have Al B. Shore who's going around saying that he absolutely feels 100% that he had something to do with Kim Porter and he had something to do with him. Yep. Because he was like, my whole body shut down. And he's saying Kim Porter was fine. All of them were together the day, like a few days before. And then she ended up coming down with getting super, super, sick and passing away from quote unquote pneumonia.
And then wasn't his thing supposed to be pneumonia too?
His thing was just a whole body shut down. Yeah, like a whole organ failure.
But then they had no rhyme or reason why that happened, right?
He said there's nothing that explains it, and there's nothing that
money can get you anything.
Yeah. So I mean, just imagine if it's just like somebody could potentially put something, like just walk by and you had a cup and they're not paying attention, and somebody walks by and puts something in there and you drink it, and next thing you know, your whole body's shutting down. You don't know that's somebody that they did that, and just by the grace of God, he's not. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he had to like learn everything all over again. So anyway,
it's sad that all this is going on, but then this also opens up the door for more big moguls and seeing what's going to happen with these other big moguls. Yeah, Smokey Robinson, he's got
a case against him. Yeah. We have multiple women. So it's we'll see. But what is done in the dark comes to the light.
Come to light. That's very
true. To the light eventually. Now you might be 80 years old when it comes to the light.
But, hey, everything that happens in the dark comes to light.
Yeah. So there you go, y'all. So be on your P's and Q's.
Exactly. I do want to say something. If you have any entertainment suggestions for us, please contact us at Sestra, SESTRA Tainment TAINMENT.com. Contact us. Let us know what you want to suggest for us to talk about.
Awesome. Thank you, Sestra. All right, y'all. Well, have an amazing week. We'll talk soon. Bye.